Greetings and welcome again to Conversations with Ed. And once again, I thank you for letting me come into your house and spend a little bit of time with you. Naturally, you know I have to recognize our veterans out there. And you guys, I say it every week that I'm on, make sure if you have questions, if you have health issues, go to McGuire VA. Don't sit around and just wait for something to happen. You have to make something happen. And if you have any questions, I'm open. As I told you before, any veteran that needs some help and is not getting it, call me, 804-714-7983. Now, this is going to be a very interesting show, and I'm sorry that I have to start it off with this statement, but I know I have to say something about these two killings today. And it's getting to the point, as I think the president said, it's ridiculous. It has to stop. And someone needs to come up with a plan on training our police officers on how to interact with people in the inner cities and stop treating the people in inner cities like they're criminals just because they look like they are black. It's done, okay? This election coming up is an election that's going to determine what happens to our young people. You're going to meet one of our special young folks in a few minutes, but we need to be very, very positive. We can't sit around and say, oh no, I'm not going to go vote. We have to get out and make sure that this vote is out. Now, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. That's not fair, and it's not something that we should do. The only thing that I can tell you is I'm with her. Okay? Now, what we're going to do, I wanted to bring a special young lady on. In a minute, I'm going to ask you how old you are. But, but she's done some very, very dramatic things, some very special things. And I just thought maybe the general public should get the opportunity to see her and see what kind of young people we do have in Richmond and what kind of young people we can have all over the United States if we just follow this young lady's formula. With that being said, Mr. Cameraman, I would like to introduce Zhane. And Zhane, what's your last name, honey?
My last name is Hines.
Hines, Zhane Hines. Now, you've seen on the show, a couple of times, I bring my martial arts guys in from the Henrico Dojo doing Shotokan martial arts. I'm an associate sensei there, and the head sensei is 6th degree now, Rokan, Clarence Folks. And this young lady is one of our very special students, and I'm going to tell you why. Put it back on her. You see this ribbon that she has around her neck? I don't think she'll mind if I hold it up. She's got a beautiful medal here. I don't know if you guys can get a little closer. You see that AAU on there? This young lady from our dojo won gold in weapons in the Junior Olympics, and we are so proud of her. I mean, who would think that a young lady who gets good marks in school,
Yes.
very good student, and as you can see, she's very well spoken. Well, you'll see in a minute. Very well spoken and just special. And she went down there to Texas to training camp, and I have to tell you that most of you martial artists out there would have a hard time in our Daiichi Shotokan training camp. It's rough, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, but she made it through, and then she went on to the competition, and she showed them where she came from. She with weapons. That's just fascinating to me. So, Zhane, tell me a couple of things about it. How did you like the trip? How did you like the tournament? How did you feel about it?
Well, the trip was long.
Yeah, you drove down, right?
Yes.
They said you read a book all the way down there.
Yep, it's from an assignment for school.
Good deal. Okay. You see what I mean? Student. Go ahead.
So, yeah, after we went through the trip, we came down there, and I was talking to everyone down there, and that's just what we did. And then later, the next day on the start of training camp, you see, Shihan Karima, she woke me up, but then she said that she thought I was awake. She came back in there, and I wasn't awake, and she had to wake me up again.
Uh-oh.
And Hunchy Johns was like, "You thought you came here to sleep?" I said, "No." He said, "She came here to sleep." I said, "No." And so then we went to to the first day, and we did all the activities and
The
things.
drills and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and that was a lot.
You didn't expect all that hard work, did you?
Not exactly.
But you made it. You did it. Okay, and that's quite an accomplishment. Now, I want to compare something. Tell me about your grades in school.
Well, I get all A's and A pluses.
Okay, what else? What else do I need to say? All right, now, has karate helped you at all with your school and your discipline in school or your attitude towards school?
Well, I mean, when we, at the end of the class, when we do our mind calming things, that helps me because, you know, stressful tests and stuff like that, so.
Would you recommend it for any other young ladies like yourself?
Well, I mean, they have to have the right mindset for
Oh, I love this girl. She is absolutely right. You have to have the right mindset. But the reason, audience, why I asked her about her marks, it's been established that students who study martial arts do better in school because they learn how to use both sides of their brain, plus they get the training for discipline, respect, and kind of calms the bullying issue too, doesn't it?
Yes.
What's the first thing we teach you when you come in if somebody's bullying you in school? What do you say?
Well, you have to stand up for yourself
Yes, and what do you say?
and, well,
Leave me alone?
yeah,
Leave me alone, and then what?
and get away. You know, just
I want
don't
you-
bother me anymore.
You know that move that you're supposed to do, right?
Yes.
You want to do it? Or show them what it is?
Well, there are many.
I'm talking about this.
Oh, someone grabs you, you just break out of it.
And then side, hit them in the sides.
Yeah.
Right? That's your get out. Now, what's your rank?
I'm now a green belt with a stripe.
Outstanding. And you're going to go for the black, right? You're going to keep on until you get your black, and then maybe you'll start teaching.
Well, I don't know if I'll start teaching.
Oh, well, if you go that far, you're going to have to. It'll be in your system. It'll be in your, look at me. Look at how old I'm still teaching, right?
Yeah.
Once it gets in your system, it's in your system. And it's in your system now, whether you know it or not. So we're looking forward for you in the next competition. And we look for you to have like a wall of statues and trophies and things. How old are you now?
I'm 12.
12 years old. I mean, it's magnificent. This is magnificent. We don't get to see and talk to enough youngsters like this so that other youngsters can see that it is possible. Now, I see your mom is here, which is your mom nice? Is she a nice lady?
Oh, yeah, she's awesome.
Isn't that great? Listen to that. Good for you. Okay. All right. Anything you want to say to the audience before you go? Think about it. Something for the young folks to pay attention to.
Well, you just have to try your best at everything you do, and that's that. I try my best. I'm in the IB program, and I have all A's, so just try your best.
And what grade are you in?
7th.
Now, when you test, what, like if you took a PAL test, what would your grade be?
What?
My grandson just took a test. He's in the 2nd grade, and he got 6th grade reading level.
Oh, you mean like what's my reading level?
Mm-hmm.
It's they kind of changed it when I got to middle school. It's like a different how they do it. From my understanding, when I was in 5th grade, I had a 9th grade reading level, so I guess it continued from there. I don't know exactly now.
That's the secret and the key to education is reading.
Yeah.
And it's also the secret for peace of mind. When you get hassled, you pick up a book, you can sit in your room, in your bedroom, and read a book and go all over the universe.
Yeah. I particularly like the Harry Potter series. I'm on the 7th book now.
Good for you. Okay, I like
Yeah.
it too. I won't tell anybody. Well, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for being such a perfect representative of Daiichi Shotokan Karate. I look forward to you going many, many more years with a bunch of trophies, and we know it's going to happen. And anything that you need to learn and one of the other fellows can't show you or is busy or whatnot, don't hesitate to ask Papa Coleman, okay?
Okay.
All right, great. Darling, nice, nice, nice. You've done a wonderful job. Mom is standing off to the side with a big smile on her face, but this is one of our heroes right here, and she's earned every bit of it. Okay?
So you keep it up.
Yep.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So that's what we're talking about, and we're actually trying to see if we can get our training program put in the public schools for the students and self-defense for the teachers. That's something that we're working on. Don't know how it's going to happen, don't have any idea, but we're banging away at it every day. And I think when the mayoral race is over, we'll be able to talk to whomever the new mayor is and get this program going. This is a perfect example of why it should be in school. Zhane is a champ. It's all right. Yes, it is. Now, next thing we're going to do is talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and hopefully will be near and dear to you folks after you hear what my next guest has to talk about. His name is Avon White. He's a good friend. He's also a brother in Christ with me, and actually he's a teacher with me in this Christian world, but he's also pretty sharp and pretty astute in this world of finance. So what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce you to him. I'm going to ask him a few questions, and then I'm just going to let him go, okay? So to begin with, greetings.
Good afternoon.
All right.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you. Avon is a very talented man. I might also add he's our minister of music.
Yes.
And he plays the piano, and I'm up on the stage above him playing my congas.
Oh, yeah.
And we get a pretty good rock going.
Get a good rock,
Get
good beats going.
All right.
Yes, indeed.
Now, Avon,
Yes.
tell me about this thing called finance.
Wow.
I put you on the spot, right?
That's a broad subject.
All right. Well, you
and
focusing on
it's-
what you think is important.
Well, of course, finance is near and dear to everyone's heart and mind. They are always thinking about how I can have more, get more, or do more with what I have, monies and investments and so forth. And that's whether you're a billionaire or whether you're just starting out. And before we digress into that or progress into that conversation, I do want to say congratulations again to your last guest. She was quite charming,
Isn't that nice?
and her achievements are stellar.
And she's just getting started.
And just getting
Getting
started, yes.
So
indeed.
that's wonderful.
Zhane is wonderful.
Wonderful. That's it.
But when we think of finance, we think of it touches everyone, everywhere, and in particular in our community. I mean, we're always trying to hit the lottery, you know.
Can we put the phone number up, please? Okay. Good.
And with that, we often, you know, in the general public, have a good time imagining what would I do if I had that $300 million, $500 million lottery. And I could tell you, I honestly don't know. I would enjoy every penny of it I could get my hands on, though.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
and still hoping I do hit it one day.
Yes, indeed. Perhaps you will.
Yeah.
But there's something else that's a small part or a part of finance that we say we might want to touch on today, and that is that conversation that whenever there is a tragedy, we just recently had storms that go through the country, right? Whether it's hurricanes and tornadoes, fires, automobile accidents, and of course, when someone dies or we say passes, what is one of the questions or first questions that people ask?
Did they leave any money behind?
Did they leave any
So,
money
yeah, that's
behind?
it.
Was there any insurance? That, you know.
And how much do I get? That's the next thing, right?
Well, you might need an attorney to help you with that.
There you go, right?
But yet we have that conversation. We raise that question about somebody had a house fire. Did they have insurance? Someone died. Did they have insurance? But yet before the tragedy, sadly enough to say, many people don't really approach that with what I call a degree of sanity and sobriety and just understanding that we're talking about finance and money again.
Well, as I mentioned to you a while back, I started my corporation career with New York
yes.
Life Insurance Company. I was the Rookie of the Year the first year,
Oh, that's
and the
great.
Agent of the Year the second year. And and this was 30 years ago
Wow,
that I
that's
started
great.
out. And people just were afraid. When you started talking about life insurance,
life insurance,
they would get afraid. And I would say to them, listen, we're not talking about you dying. We're talking about life insurance. When you get to be 65, wouldn't you like to have $1 million? You
Well,
can if you follow this plan. All right? But I'm sorry, I jumped in
I'm
there.
glad to hear that.
Yeah.
From a rookie of the year and an agent of the year, that is a tremendous feat in and of itself.
Well, I believed in it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when we get that brand new, wonderful looking vehicle, of course you cannot leave the grounds of the auto dealership without insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Before you move into that wonderful home, you can't do it without insurance. Well, that's because those financial institutions are protecting their interests.
Okay.
But this is not a statistical show, but yet just think of people you know and in your community about how many homes have actually caught fire. Now, I know you had an unusual experience.
Yeah, I could say it. I'll tell you, I was February the 4th. I was on television crawling out of my house. But thank God for USAA.
But that's a good example.
Insurance.
I mean, unfortunately, you had that fire, but there was insurance.
And they took care of us. I mean,
Wonderful.
When I came out of that house, the man from USA Insurance was there.
Wow.
And they immediately took the whole family, and we had a commitment down in Norfolk for a naval base with my beautiful wife and her book signings. They put us in the Marriott residency down there.
Oh, then that was
covered
really
all of the
tremendous.
expenses. When that was done, they brought us back up here, put us in Marriott residence up here. And then, in fact, we went to 2 different Marriott residences up here, and we stayed. And then they found corporate housing for us, which was an apartment.
Yes.
And none of that would have happened if I didn't have insurance.
If you didn't have
Right.
insurance. And that's great. And I bring that up also to reflect on, in your community, you've lived in that community about how long?
Over 20 years.
20
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
How many house fires have you seen?
Not so much house fires.
Or-
We've seen hurricane damage.
Oh, well, yeah, the hurricanes came through, yeah.
and that caused quite a bit of damage. And again, when that happened, we had 4 trees go down on the house.
Oh, wow.
And insurance
That's
company
insurance
came right
again.
there. Yeah, but all up and down the block. The lady next door to us in this last storm, the tree came down and one of the limbs went right through the roof into their bedroom.
There was a lot of damage
Oh, yes.
in our area, Richmond, Henrico, lately with winds and storms and so forth. And even with that, and insurance did what it had to do, every house was not destroyed.
No.
And same thing with vehicles. There are who knows how many million vehicles in our community area, yet everyone is not in an accident. But unfortunately, or every one of us will die.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
That's a 100% shot. And I only bring that up not to be morbid, but to say, then where should your insurance be placed? Yes, you have your auto insurance. Yes, have your home and fire insurance and things of that nature. But yes, the insurance that we have to protect our lives is the best. Oh, really?
Hello, caller. Thanks for calling in.
I have a question for Mr. White.
All
Go
right.
right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sure. Go right ahead. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I'm getting a little confused. What are you saying? Would it be best to put your money in insurance or stocks or the bank savings account or underneath your mattress?
Well,
Financial advisor, tell me.
I'm gonna jump in on that one, okay? The best way to save and make your goal is put it in insurance because you have guaranteed completion. Okay, that's not something any other financial facility can guarantee you. They can't guarantee that you'll have X amount of dollars at X amount of time. But with insurance, even if you're disabled and you stop working, you don't have enough money to put into it. If you're insured, it will cover you for the rest of your life and then pay out what it's supposed to pay out. And it's a sleeping giant. Young people especially now, they frown when you say insurance because they have no concept of the value. But like you said, they'll go insure their car.
Well, I'd like to point out also along with that what we're speaking of
did
is
we
that
answer that for you, caller?
I want to add to that.
No, let me hear what Mr. White has to say, please.
Okay.
And that is that, no, I'm not saying it's an either or. I'm saying it's a part and. It's a part of your financial life, your economic building blocks. These are just tools to be used. And don't negate one tool thinking that, well, I don't need that. Just like you need the other protection type of coverages, you need to make sure you have that life insurance. And then here lately now the federal government says, oh, make sure you have health insurance. Why are these things needed? You started with economics, because economically most of us can't afford to do that out of our pocket. And even those who are blessed, if you would, to have quite a bit of money, as she pointed out, stocks, bonds, even under the mattress, millions and billions, they acquire quite a bit of insurance because they're using other people's money. So it's economics. What you're trading is your dollars, which we call premium, of course, for the promise that this money will be there when you need it. And the good thing about, in most structures, insurance, life, health, auto, home, medical, all of that, is that it's basically tax-free.
Yes.
So no, we're not saying that, we're not recommending to do a stock or a bond or a insurance, either or. We're saying do it and.
Does that make sense?
But what happens? But what happens when you don't pay? Perhaps you've had insurance for 10 years, and then something happens and you miss a couple of payments. You just lose all your money?
Well, it depends, and of course we would need to see particulars. But just like many other things, if you don't pay Dominion Power, what happens after a period of time? So yes, you can lose what you have been trying to protect if you're not paying those premiums, of course.
But, and here's the but that's important. If you said 10 years, if you had a policy for 10 years and it's a cash value policy, and something happens where you can't make the payments for 2 or 3 months, they will take the payment out of your cash value to keep your policy active. If you get to the point where you can never pay for it again, then you can have that policy closed, but you can have the amount that you have into it. So you treat it like it's business also, okay? And again,
that's good.
For the investment part, you want to get whole life insurance, because that's the one that builds up cash value. Or if you're just using it for tax purposes or burial purposes, you're not really interested in the cash value, then you get term insurance. That's a conversation you have with your insurance broker.
That's why I wasn't trying to get into the particulars. It's like walking on an automobile dealership and saying, what's the best car to get?
Right.
That's such an open-end question, and he's got hundreds of vehicles there. But what we are saying is that as we consider the economics of our individual households, as well as our communities, you cannot negate that building block of insurance, be it, again, life, health, home, auto, boats, whatever, because in most cases, it is what separates you from being completely poverty-stricken when there is an incident. So when your roof does blow off, when that tree does fall on your roof, and you have insurance, then you have some protection, you have some other financial resources. But when it doesn't, if we could have people call in and say, to talk about something happened in their life and they didn't have insurance, or they didn't have enough. And in our church community, many cases, there's a death, and sometimes people are asked in church, well, we didn't have what we thought we had in way of, can the church help us out with this is what we mean, the economics, the economy. The economy spends on dollars, whether you want to call it the gold standard or the paper standard or what have you.
The make-believe standard.
The make-believe standard.
Let me just make sure. Did we answer your question for you, ma'am?
And you're still answering it. Thank you.
Okay, good enough. Thanks for the call. Okay.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And certainly we want to encourage individuals to contact someone they consider a professional, that they can ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
And you know, for you young folks out there, again, talking about starting families, starting businesses, starting, period, anything. When you sit down and make your plan, the insurance should be right at the very top of your program, because that will make sure that you can complete the rest of what your plan is. And also, I'd like to add, Avon mentioned health insurance.
Oh, yeah.
That right now, the way that the industry is going, the way that the medicine companies are raising their prices, I mean, it's ridiculous. You need to have health insurance, and you can get it. It's not that difficult. All of the politics that you've heard about it just is not that hard to get, and it's something that you need. Hello, caller. Thanks for calling. Hello.
How you doing, Mr. Ed?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Hey, man, I enjoy your show, man. I used to watch you and your wife last year on the book show. That's wrong, man.
All right. You got a question for us tonight?
Yes, sir. I'm so glad you got this on tonight because my future wife had her car parked and somebody told her lost it, and her insurance didn't cover it, but it paid the car off. So it's very important for me to understand that you must have insurance on everything, man. And I thank you so much, Mr. Ed, for having your guest on, because he really getting us some knowledge, and she's been listening to it now. So I just want to thank you, man, so much for this show. And I tuned in the right time because I didn't know you was back on, man.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I just want to say God bless. I'm going to hang up and learn something today.
I appreciate that call, and good to hear from you too, brother. Okay.
And see, he brings up again a very excellent point that they had coverage, if I understood him correctly, and it did do some things such as pay off the loan, but it sounded as though maybe it wasn't enough insurance in which she was made whole enough to go get another vehicle.
Car, right.
So with that in mind, I'm sure that when he or someone else listening to that acquire insurance, they won't just, we do understand premium.
Oh, without
we
a
do
doubt.
understand you want to know how much it costs, and none of us want to, i.e., pay more than we have to. But you want to be protected. You want to know if anything happens, like he said, unfortunate, someone else hit the car, just like the tree hit the house, a tree can hit a car.
They did.
And you want to know what position will I be in? And I've, experienced people who, when a vehicle gets a certain age, they automatically remove some of what we call physical damage coverage.
Liability.
I understand. Well, of course, if you got a 1958, I'll say Edsel. I haven't seen one. You might not.
Most folks probably don't even know what that
special
is,
insurance. Right? Yeah. But what I'm saying is, you don't want to be. I've heard the statement. What is it? Penny wise and pound foolish. Same thing with a house or medical. You want to know, am I covered? And in the areas that I'm not covered, can I personally pay for it? Can I go in my pocket? Can I go in my savings? And then make myself whole. Now, if you're comfortable with that, then of course you don't need insurance in that area. And even if you are financially well off,
why spend it?
I was about to say, why spend it when you can spend? So that's the point, and we make about whatever the type of insurance. It's economics.
I've had so much experience with insurance, not only just selling it, but life experience. So with insurance, with my first wife dying. My mom passing, my dad passing, my brother getting killed, in that car mess down around Atlanta. But I have insurance that even pays me if I go into emergency room.
Well, yes.
I got every kind of insurance you could think of.
Of course, and I've heard people say, I don't want to be insurance poor.
Yeah.
You probably have heard that.
Yeah.
But again, using good judgment.
And shopping.
And trying
getting
to
a very good insurance advisor. And he's available too.
Well, to a degree.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is that when you are about to embark in this world of economics, in which that's what we live in, that's what discussions are about, how much we go pay in taxes and politically, et cetera, even on a local basis, how much money in the schools. It's all about money. The Benjamins, remember that song? It's all about the Benjamins.
Yeah.
Then when you're discussing your Benjamins, you should do planning. You should sit with a sober thought saying, Where am I really
And be
financially?
honest.
Be honest with
about it,
yourself.
right. Mhm.
And if something occurred, what happens then? And if nothing occurs,
What
you
happens
go
then?
for years. There are people who have been blessed to have their home and their auto and never have a substantial claim. That's wonderful.
I have people that were my clients 30 years ago. I talked to 2 of them in the last 6 months, and both of them have over $250,000.
Right. And see, the insurance, the principle of insurance is really the principle of we call large numbers.
Mm-hmm.
People will never meet sharing in the risk of something happen. Thousands and hundreds of thousands of people sharing in that. And I use as an example, as we think back, we mentioned storms, Hurricane Katrina, and those that came through and really devastated a lot of the southeast and northeast. Who knows how many billions and so forth and so on. And there were insurance companies who undoubtedly felt that, but they paid the claims.
They paid the claims, that's right.
So with that being said, again, back to my analogy of that may happen again, may not. They call it a 100-year storm, but it's been 10 years and we keep having them over 20 years. But in our community, economically, we know at one point, somewhere along the line, we will leave this planet. We will die. People hate to say that, but we will. Then at that point, we think about our community, our families. What's the legacy? You know, I've heard people say, I don't want to leave nobody nothing. Well, then that's you. Okay. Wonderful.
What do I care what happens to them when I die?
Yes.
And you know what? One of the benefits I have as an insurance agent is that I can pick who I present it to.
Oh,
and
yeah.
guess what? With your attitude, you can't have any. That's what I told him. I got up and left.
But to our audience, and I'm sure your audience is a great listening audience. They wouldn't be tuning in, and they consider themselves astute. I would say examine that fact. That fact of all of us like to think about where great granddaddy left 10 acres, 20 acres, etc. Left some legacy, or left the mule or whatever. You know, we had this as history. What are we doing for legacy?
Building wealth.
What am I doing, I should say,
That's
for
a whole
legacy?
Our whole program on
Yes, that's
something
another whole
that
discussion.
blacks have not had the information maybe to say on how to build. That's how you build wealth. You have to have, as you just said, leaving property. All right, all of y'all, and y'all, I'm saying all of y'all. Look at that, I'm from New York, but boy, this Virginia getting me now.
Yeah.
I'm getting
We
it.
own you. We own you.
But that church, our church, there's so many church members that own so much property,
Right.
whatnot. That's a legacy. That's
It's a legacy.
That's what you pass down. My great grandfather left property that I was able to take advantage of.
See?
That was the sleeping preacher. I
And
told you
that's great when someone from another generation can have a legacy and leave that, whether it's the property, stocks and bonds if you have it,
something, yeah.
etc. In other words, that you didn't use up everything you had, and then behind you was zero. You know, so that someone can build. If you have that in your deep spirit, and I believe many people do, but our rush world of today won't permit us time to stop and soberly think about these things. We're always dog eat dog. What is the law of the jungle? It's, you know, number one, I got mine, you got, and so many other slogans that we don't stop and think, whether you have family or other people in the community, or maybe it's a cause. We're coming up, we're in the middle of Cancer Month for men, breast cancer coming up, and there's a lot of awareness, a lot of walks, a lot of opportunities to raise money, etc. Maybe yours is that. Maybe you have a burn in your heart for a cause and you work hard while you're living. Why not leave them something when you're gone?
That's a good idea, and it's something that you said it. I'm going to say it again. It's one of the best things that you can do, and for the organization that you're giving it to, it will do so much good, and your name will go on and on and on because you set up a legacy. You're absolutely right. Not all your insurance, a piece of it. That's all.
A piece.
You can stand to give up back a piece of your finances for when you're gone, just because that organization was good enough for you to be in it and do your best while you're in it.
That's correct.
And
That's
just
correct.
keep on doing your best.
And we're not advocating, again, that someone become what we call insurance poor. That's not good economics either.
Right.
And you need to be able to have some enjoyment of your resources while you're here. And that's a discussion for what's called financial planning. That's a show about how not to get on the merry-go-round of the credit risk here in America.
We have time if you want to talk a
I
little bit
don't
about
think
that.
so. I don't know whether I'm that gifted in that, but when you think about it, many of us, as we grew, I came out of high school, college, and service or whatever, we couldn't wait to get the gold card, the platinum card, and certainly there's something to be said. And you do need credit, and good credit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we weren't perhaps properly educated, trained, enlightened as to the fact that, hey, that credit can be a monster. I've seen credit card companies at homecoming games, at football university, at college universities. Yes, canvassing. And yes, you need some credit card. You need something else, but we aren't taught. Maybe today, I'm not real familiar with what's going on in local high schools. Maybe someone will call in. Are they teaching that type of personal economics in the school level, at grade level, whether it's middle school or wherever, about how to handle these economics? Because otherwise you come out wild-eyed, ready to go, you get your first job, you want that car, and you perhaps finance the car, and then you weren't wise with how to finance.
I listened to my granddaughter, who I told you was accepted into Clark Atlanta
Yes,
University.
congratulations again.
And she's the freshman of the year. She won the Miss Freshman.
Wow.
3 weeks she was there. She won Miss Freshman and went with the team to Chicago, and they're going to all be sworn in, the whole round, what do they call it? The
realm.
The court will all be sworn in on October the 25th when they have their homecoming down
Congratulations
there.
to her.
But she has, in discussing finances with her, she knows exactly what she wants and what she's talking about.
And that's great. That's a credit to her and your family and how she was raised. And as I was putting that out there to the general masses, to find out what's being taught at the school level.
Yeah.
Are you taught how to handle a checkbook? Are you taught how to make an application? Is it discussed around the dining room table at your home?
Well, now you just said something else that we need to be doing. We do it, and I think you might do it also, but you need to have dinner you just said at the table. That's something that's missing. It's another subject, okay? And it's another program. But it is something that is lost because that's the learning ground.
Well, and again, school at home, church is where many people spend 80 or large % of our time. And I merely pointed out that so that our next generation X or whatever, millennial, whatever, whoever we're working on these days, don't come out into this world and be such a neophyte that, just blinded by the lights of the credit or the financial and economic navigation that we have here. And it's good, but if you don't know how to navigate, now I love...
It can be treacherous.
It can be treacherous.
Yep. Hello, caller. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
I'm calling Mr. Ed. I'm trying to reach back all the way into history, almost 50 years. From Virginia Union University, knew Flo Hardy and Dessa Hardy. You were in the service. This is from Mr. Ed. They were the Hardys. She was at Virginia Union University. And Northside was in bloom of AIDS and all the black people. When we really were somebody. I just remembered seeing you and your beautiful wife, but all of them have passed. And you guys were going on to Washington to take the younger people
to expose them, to get them from off this plantation down there.
Yes, we have, yeah.
And you look wonderful. You're a beautiful wife. But her name was Florence Hardy, and she was at Virginia Union University.
Okay.
And her husband was in the military, Denzel. Denzel Hardy.
Okay, yeah.
And this is from Mr. Ed.
All right. Well, I thank
And
you.
there were just so many beautiful people, the firemen, the social workers, we're talking about beautiful black people.
I understand.
We're talking about beautiful, powerful black people.
Wonderful.
So, see, they don't even know the root of the situation. But some people are left. Some people are left to know how beautiful it really was.
Yeah, I hear you. We're going to do a show on that, too, on Richmond itself, because Richmond
Yes, sir.
has a
Yes, sir. This is important.
very historic place. You're
Oh, yeah.
absolutely
This
right.
is very
rich
important because we were not on the streets. There was no hungry people.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't have no hungry people and things.
Well, the whole world is changing, and you're absolutely right. And I thank you every week for calling in. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm looking for you next week now, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Night, night.
Good night. Yeah, that's a great call.
Yes, and she's right, though, you know.
And see, she flashed back on history. And I think she may have said 50 years ago. So 50 years from now, I'll be gone. You'll still be here doing the show, I'm sure.
Maybe so. I don't know. Might, if I'm here,
What?
we'll have a bigger studio. But
You have a bigger studio, okay.
yeah.
Some lemonade. Okay.
Yeah, right.
But as the future comes and we march and move off of it, what will be the legacy? What will be said then about Richmond or about our individual legacy? This question should be kept near and dear to our hearts, along with the question about, are the younger people in my community, in my family, financially aware? And that doesn't mean just knowing what stocks and bonds are in the S&P 500 and so forth. That means aware of what we deal with daily, how to shop. I met a young lady, her name leaves me, but she really knew how to use coupons. Her church even has her to do classes. She showed me. I went to a yard sale that was completely funded and replenished with items she secured by using coupons. She found a way to get almost cases of items
Using
coupons.
So we're going
Now, I was like, you've got the economic tiger by the tail. You see what I mean? Economics
do you know
is,
her?
Yes. Economics
Can I get her to
is
come
not
on the
just-
show?
I don't know about that.
We'll ask
I can't
her for
speak for her,
ask
but-
her for me, okay?
But my point to that was, again, that's an economic.
Yes, it is.
And when we think back, she said 50 years and further back, when many of our grandparents had meager beginnings, very little money. How did they send those kids to Virginia Union and so forth? Everybody wasn't a straight A student on scholarship. Think about it. And I witnessed that. How did our great grandparents, because some of them knew how not to become slave to the credit debt monster.
That's my father-in-law.
This is economics and what to do with the little bit or the whole lot that you have. If you can't manage $100, guess what? You'll never manage $100,000.
Okay.
You won't.
And you look
You
at
just won't.
these kids, these rappers, if you
Well.
will. I mean, how do you have $150 million and go bankrupt?
Well, they do have help. They have a lot of people that'll help them.
Yeah, I mean,
go
that's
bankrupt.
what they use common sense. You learn how to not
these-
have a trail.
There again, like I said, the two items we want to leave with people is think soberly about your legacy. Think soberly about where you are right now, wherever you are.
And be realistic.
And be realistic.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're making $500 a week, you can't spend $550. You just can't. And I use as an example, I heard somewhere about an airline pilot. You fly a lot, and I have flown quite a bit. When that pilot is about to land the plane, can he be 6 inches short of the runway?
Not at all.
No. No. As a matter of fact, those of us that fly know when they land, they make sure they are good and over the goal of the runway before they set it down. There's the example. Yeah. Whatever your goal is, make sure you're well over that. There's nothing wrong with delayed gratification rather than the instant.
You just said a very important 2 words. Say it again.
Delayed gratification.
Yeah. You don't have to have it right now.
But you do, because the TV says you do.
Right
now we're going out of business again for the 10th time, and you got to get it.
And you got to go get it, because if you don't, you lost out. Nobody wants to lose out.
Nobody wants to lose out.
Everybody wants to be first, too.
Everybody wants to be first.
So there you go.
And I learned a lot from that young lady. At the time I found out about, I think she was probably 30 or 28, 29, and recently married, who was able to, she was organized. She could go, I bet they hate to see her coming in the store with her coupon book. And I learned another lesson, and I'll give way now after that. At another seminar, and the discussion was going on amongst the general audience, and it was about retirement and how much money, 401ks and Social Security and et cetera and so forth. And a lady stood up and said what she was doing, because she said about 3 years, I think, away from her expected retirement date. And many of us get these printouts from our jobs and Social Security saying, you can expect this much and that much.
Yeah, and if you wait a little longer.
And so forth. Yeah, wait a little longer. Anyway, she said, and of course, with most of us, that retirement projection is less than what you're earning. She said right now, 3 years early, she was learning to live on the lesser amount. I said, ma'am, you've nailed it. There's not a stock bond, there's not anything, an insurance, anything that can do any better than that.
That's pretty smart.
That was very smart.
Okay.
And that would probably take a lot of discipline. Now, I didn't follow her to see how well she did, but just think about it. If you're making $1,000 a week and your projected retirement money is $800 a week, you're about 3 or 4 years away, try to live it on $800 right now, because that's what you're going to have.
Put that other $200 away, too.
Well, you said it. Yeah, and you can put that under the mattress.
Right.
At least you know you got it.
Yeah, so, people save money for special events. Think of your life as a special event.
Good point.
Okay, and work it so that you can be very comfortable. People are always saying, man, you and Charlene, every time I look at you, you're someplace else, you're someplace else. Well, we like to be someplace else. Mm-hmm. We like to travel and whatnot. And we've traveled literally all over the world. What most people don't realize or understand is that we got paid for that.
Somebody got to pay for it.
Yeah, we got paid. We made a very good living. The kind of living that some people dream about. Okay?
And then you were astute with what you earned, as you pointed out there. Those who are blessed with these contracts beyond our wildest dreams, who 2 or 3 years after contract are flat broke.
Well, that happens also. We lost quite a bit of money after 9/11 because we lost all of our advertisers. Our television show, Tropical Beat, which we're getting ready to bring back. I should say that right away. Yeah, we're getting ready. We're doing a special on the Bahamas right now. In fact, I won't be in church.
When you go to the Bahamas, can I go?
Well, not on the first trip.
Oh, yeah.
But if the deal works right.
Audience, will you call in and tell Ed to take Avon to the Bahamas?
Well, look, let me tell you, if the deal works like it should work, you can go on one of those trips. Okay. We'll be going back and forth quite a bit. Well, we're about at countdown, and I got to tell you, this hour went by pretty fast. It does. And Zhane.
Congratulations.
Special young lady, and I'm glad that she could come on and talk. I wish that this station were accessible to more young folks.
Right.
Yeah, and I used to start, in fact, I'll start off again next week with that. Call your friends and tell them to get their pens and papers, because you need a paper and a pen if you're going to look at this show. But with all of the other things that are going on right now, we come on at the same time that the regular news does. So I would ask that for the next 3 weeks, you kind of set your DVD to record the show, because there are going to be some very interesting shows like today, and I think that you should have the opportunity to see them, and I think you should be able to share them with your friends. Next week, we're going to really get into this election thing.
Wow.
I'll probably get some ugly phone calls because I'm going to talk about Hillary and why she's, without a doubt, 20 times better than this jerk that's trying to impress us now by going into different churches, black churches, to talk about how much he likes black people. All of a sudden, after talking about how he couldn't stand Mexicans, you know, the jerk doesn't understand that all of those nationalities that he's talking about is we're all one nation.
Nope.
It's all one nation. Hello, caller. Thanks for calling in.
Yes. Well, thank you for taking my call. Mr. White, you said something earlier. You started talking about credit cards and things of that nature.
Yes.
And something struck me. I said, let me ask you guys real quick before you guys go off the air. Let's say the Wells Fargo fiasco that happened. Let's say if I had an account open up, and let's say, you know, I didn't open up these accounts, and it's proved to be fraudulent, would that affect my credit score down the road, or what happens with a situation like that?
That's a very good question. I would say you need to contact Wells Fargo, but also you need to pull your credit report because if they open an account, you can have an adverse effect on your credit score, which is a little different than just your credit account. But if you have too many accounts opened, that can affect your what's called credit score.
Absolutely. And as far as liability, I mean, now that they've admitted that they've done this, do you know if someone has opened an account in your name?
No, it just struck me as odd when I actually saw the news report. And I've often wondered, you know, things of that nature. What would happen if that happened to me? How would I handle it, or what should I do? So, no, it hasn't happened to me, but in case, you know, I run into a friend, relative that may have incurred such,
it was
some
widespread.
of that nature, I can kind of, you know, give them some advice.
One of the things I would say, do you have any military, or do you have military parents or anything like that?
No. No.
I was gonna suggest that you go to Navy Federal and open up an account.
But I think, and he's bringing up a good point for those who may have been injured and not know it. What was being done was that some accounts were being opened. And
millions. They said they opened millions.
And the consumer did not, the client didn't know it. So yes, you should, of course, pull your credit bureau report to see is something on there. And when it is on there, then you make that challenge because yes, even though it is there and you didn't use it, it can impact your credit score.
Yeah, and if you don't be proactive, it can really sneak up on you. So I would advise you to do as Mr. White has just said. Get your credit report. It's very easy to do that now. I'm sure you know. And take a look at that. And I would get rid of my Wells Fargo cards, period.
Oh, absolutely.
But one other thing while I have you, what do you take on that CEO? I mean, the young, well, I can't call her young, but she's getting a service of $125 million. Yeah. You know, I mean, what do you think about that? Is that fair? I mean, is this your opinion?
Well, I probably am not allowed to say what I really think about it, but I think it's ridiculous. And I think that something needs to be done about this discrepancy in salaries. They're giving this woman $125 million for being in charge of a group of people that probably made $8 to $10 an hour, and it's wrong. Wow. It's absolutely wrong. All right, I thank you for that call, my friend.
Thank you.
And please tune in next week and tell your friends and whatnot, and let's keep this station going. All right?
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, nice. And to the rest of you, we want to thank you for tuning in. Naturally, I'll be back next week. I will put up something on the internet. I don't think my attempt at doing the broadcast, the Facebook broadcast, worked
really?
This week. No, I saw the camera was knocked down.
Okay.
But we'll work on that and see that we can get it done. Those of you who, well, again, you won't be able to hear me, but it'll be on YouTube and on my site, Conversations with Ed on Facebook within the next week, so you can see this show and put it in your archives and maybe come back if you want to just hit it again and hear some more advice. In the meantime, I thank you very much for tuning in. I thank my guest Zhane, and I thank you for coming in. And I want to have you back on again, maybe not in this run.
Okay.
All right, but again, so that we can get a little deeper into this legacy business.
Yes.
And get people to really understand what it is and that it's available to everyone.
It is.
All right. Those of you that called in, we thank you for your calls. The theme music that you hear, I must give my buddy big ups. His name is Bobby Boyd. We played together for many, many, many years in a band called the Soul Congress. Bobby Boyd and the Soul Congress. And we get ready to play, one of the guys will stand up and say, Congress is now in session.
Okay.
And tear it up. And Bobby, I thank you for getting the music down to me again. And it seems like the audience likes it. I will put on something before I'm over by my other buddy. His name is Frank Abel. If anybody want to do some research, just Google Frank Abel, and you see why I love his music so much now too. Okay.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, Avon, don't run away now. We're gonna sit here and let these folks see us get out. And like I said, you are invited back again.
Thank you.
And I enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure some folks learned some things out there too.
Hopefully. Yes.
All right, good deal. So we'll just be cool and see you. And I'll be able to get you a copy if you want.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So you good? Talking. Okay. And next week I'm gonna have some more pretty interesting people. I'm trying to get Joe to come on, Joe Morrison.
Wow.
He's my buddy.
Oh wow. Yeah, you have talk about election. The city of Richmond election.
Yeah.
For mayor is heating up real good and interesting.
Well, I see this young brother that's running and what he's talking about with the schools and setting up after school programs and things like that.